MJ Baker now in her 8th season. Well over 120 wins now. Native of Delaware, Ohio, and has this program firing on all cylinders.
Welcome to Inside Titan Sports. I'm your host, Mike Parsons, and our guest today has 20-plus wins for the last 5 years, has been nationally ranked almost every week for the last 4 years, and has now been nominated for the K-Yow Heart of a Coach Award. Welcome to our show, MJ Baker.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So, Fellowship of Christian Athletes has an award every year, a national award for their Heart of a Coach. How'd you get that one?
I mean, I'm still honored and just kind of shocked by it all. Really just humbled by it because Lindsay, my assistant, and Hadley, who's actually a volleyball assistant but head of FCA, and she's a leader in the FCA community, nominated me 2 years ago, last year. And I guess I was a finalist and I didn't realize that, and they carried it over this year. And I got the call that I was honored with this award, and I was just really still dumbfounded by it. It's just such an honor and privilege to be honored with this award. One, there's never been a junior college coach nominated or even getting this award. So to be on the platform and be honored under Coach K-Yow herself, and under her name after everything that she's done for women's basketball and for the game and who she is, because she really is a legendary coach in our community and someone that, even though she's passed away, that's someone that we all strive and really look up to. So just to be honored under her is just such a privilege.
And the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, how'd you get involved in that?
I mean, God is my mission field. God's my coach. The Bible is my playbook. Everything I do, I honor him in what I do. Basketball is just a vehicle platform for that. So FCA was a way for us to bring it on campus. I brought it on campus 2 years ago. It wasn't on campus, and I just thought it was a way for the athletes, especially since we have so many international athletes or athletes that don't have cars. They can't really get to church, and they say college athletes and college students, they lose their faith or fall away from God at a really alarming rate. And I was like, how can we stop that? So we try to figure a way to bring God on campus and Jesus on campus and a club. And I talked to Coach Carr about that, and he was really supportive, and that's been really big help. He's backed it 100%, bringing it on campus, and we've had a really great, we've probably had at least a third or a fourth of our athletes shut up for every huddle. So I feel like it's really been great. The free food helps, but we really are about feeding their minds, bodies, and spirits, and just trying to bring God and Jesus into the picture, because at the end of the day, we're coaching them and I want to win championships, but really their heart and who they're going to be as leaders, game changers, and a mom or a parent one day really is what this is all about.
And you guys meet every so often, but you also go out in the community and do things as well.
Yeah, well, community service is big for us. We try to go out in the community, help if it's with elementary schools or going to churches, help cleaning up. We've done the zoo, we've cleaned up the zoo. We've actually gone into the river and helped do oyster beds before. That was really interesting. So yeah, just being out in the community and knowing that we're here and that we're here not just for ourselves, but something bigger than us.
And when you hear that you are the recipient of the Heart of a Coach Award, what does that mean to you? What do you take from that?
Honestly, it is God's perfect timing. This year was a little rough for us. We had 20 plus wins, but you start questioning yourself, we want to do it the right way with love and accountability and just discipling. But this year was one that really challenged you, are we doing this wrong? Because we do care about the person and having a good home and being fed into and just holistically developing and growing, where a lot of programs who you're seeing sometimes win and sometimes get those trophies don't really care about the person, and they're more about just the business of winning. And so when I was told that I was getting this award, it kind of was reassuring. It was like a God wink. I call it a God wink. It was like, God's got you, and even if you're questioning, this is just a way to let you know you're on track, despite what platform or despite what you're going through, that changing these women's lives and empowering them to the future, the long game, is much more important than the short game.
And talk about that, because you do that very well, where you care about them winning on the court, but you care just as much about them off the court. Talk about how that relationship really works for you.
That's what it is. it's about people for us, and trust me, I want to win though. Like, don't get twisted. Like, I want to win a national championship. I am like hungry to be there. We've Final Four, Elite Eight, like we're just like right there. But if you're sacrificing the people in it, then what are you doing? And I do think we've been right there because of the people. So at the end of the day, when they leave us, and it's really cool to see all the players come back. Man, we have so many players that come back and give back to our program. But when they leave us, I want them to remember how they were treated and what they learned and how we fed into them, not about what they did for us and how they produced or how many points they scored.
And you had a little bit of vision of that this year, as you had 3 players actually in the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah.
How cool is that to be there just
You know
watching?
what? It was so cool to see those players in the March Madness and just watching them. 2 of the 3 started too, so that was really awesome. They're actually impact. But you know what? I'm just as proud as my players like Rosa at Southeastern, the NAIA, and they went to the tournament too. We follow them just as much, and I know my Power 4 players, they get a lot more light. But we're really proud of all of them. We try really hard. I did not see one player. There's only one player I missed this year that was in. I have, I think, 12 players right now in playing college basketball. And there's one player I didn't get to see this year, but I saw her last year. So we really try to go out and like invest in them and just keep supporting them and loving on them despite when they leave us. And but the platform, obviously, at that Power 4 is so cool. But we're also really proud of our ones that are on the lower levels.
And another 20-win season for you. Talk about that success and how are you able to do it year after year?
You know what? I don't know. No, I was just joking. It does, God, obviously, and I know I don't keep saying God, but God, honestly, is a big part of it because I pray over my program. Like, whoever's supposed to be a part of it, be a part of it. Whoever's not, let them be not, tell me no. And we've missed out on some recruits that I'm like, man, that really stunk. I really wanted to coach that player, and it turns out that God was just protecting us. And then this year, like I said, it was a harder year. I think our whole coaching staff had to be a better coach. We had to coach harder than ever, but it challenged us to be more creative. We had some injuries early, and then we're a little undersized, and then we had some hiccups in there, just with growing curves, people not being where they need to be. They did it. And I know this year's team feels like a disappointment, but they aren't. Like, I'm really proud of them. We didn't win the conference like we've been, and some letdowns, but they fought hard. And honestly, like how we ended the season, the last 2 or 3 games, if we could just kept feeding off that for next year, we're gonna be in really good shape.
Yeah, definitely. At the state tournament, we were one of the better teams there. We just happened to run into a team that's still alive, actually, right now in the national tournament.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. 2 of our losses are 2 of the teams in the Final Four right now.
Yeah.
And knowing that Northwest, we were right there. If we would just shot a little bit better from the free throw line or just made one more 3, we could be in the national tournament right now. But at the same time, I know that you reap what you sow. So we might not see it now, but I know there's going to be good that comes out of this season, and I really trust what God's doing in the future.
You're closing in on 200 wins at Eastern Florida. What do milestones like that mean to you?
I mean, it just represents everyone who's behind it. I mean, I've been with you for all of them. Coach Yoda's been by my side. I've had great coaches right now with Lindsay and Taylor, but I just had amazing players who believed in the vision and worked hard. I mean, it's just to me, the 200 wins just goes back to all the people who are involved come behind it, and then obviously having Coach Carr support us from day one. I mean, he's going to the state tournament. He's going everywhere where you see these other ADs don't even show up half the time or barely getting there. So it's just really cool. It just shows the excellence and elite level of Eastern Florida, and then also just a great testament to the players and the coaches who've been a part of it.
When you came here, just like all coaches, you're saying, I want to build a program. I want to do these certain things. Now that you're here and you've built that program, when you look back, is this what you were hoping that you were going to build here? Yeah,
it is, but it's definitely different being on top. I've always been a builder and an underdog, and I like that, like, let's go. Like, it's definitely different for the last 4 years where we're the biggest target and we're getting everyone's best game, and the air is definitely thinner at the top. Like, it's thin. And there is a lot of more pressure. It's a little different, but it's way different when you're like, oh, we have nothing to lose. Let's just go after them versus like, we can't lose. Like, literally, you can't lose. But I like the challenge because it has made me a better coach. And I think it just keeps me sharp and keeps our program sharp to just continue to find elite and excellence in all that we do. Because, with having a new roster every year, you never know what that's going to look like. And so, I mean, I'm really excited and proud of our team for doing all that.
And you mentioned them, but talk about your staff, because most of them have been with you either as a player and now as a coach, or with you the whole time through most of this journey with you.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Yoda, Mark Dakotas is like my biggest mentor. Like, he is like a father to me. I didn't have a dad growing up, so he has come in and just, I mean, I can't tell you how much we pour so much into people, and at the end of the day, not many people see us as humans. Like, we don't have needs. Coach Yoda, Mark Dakotas, he does a great job of feeding me and like feeding me with knowledge and articles and information, checking on me, make sure I ate, make sure I'm sleeping. Like, he does, like, you think that's crazy, but with coaches in season, you have to make sure basic needs are being met, because we will go without them, just to make sure that we are putting our team in a situation to succeed. And then Lindsay, she's been a heart and soul in the sense of just caretaking, coaching with love, compassion, accountability, being there for anything medical. And then Taylor, being a former player, coming back, and just, she's like a basketball guru. She's so aligned with me, but sees stuff differently. But it's really cool to have someone that understands how I work, but that also can challenge me in other ways too, because she sees it differently, and she's closer to their age. Yeah. So it's kind of nice to have that little mediator or that bridge person.
It really is a core that you have, that now you know that when you're doing something else, that they have your back.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing like that. Trust and loyalty is everything in this profession, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of it out there. So yeah, I mean, I'm very honored to, I mean, everyone, Eastern Florida is the people who make it, so. And
now this weekend, you're gonna be at the NCAA Division I Final Four, and that's where you'll get your award, is during the FCA meeting there. Talk about just being at the Final Four and how cool that is. Man, it's awesome. The coaching clinics, we're going to leave Thursday and out there, but the coaching clinics, you learn from some of the best coaches in the game, and just different aspects of the way of thinking. I love the growth and just learning. I'm a nerd, so I love the learning part of it. Plus seeing coaches that I haven't seen, they're coaching all over the country. We fellowship and like meet up along with, and then they're doing a big breakfast on Sunday for the award and for FCA. So that's going to be exciting, just to meet everyone that I've been talking to, and just to glorify God in it all, and just let people know that no matter where you come from, however small your platform is, that God can use it. So don't ever underestimate it. Yeah, we don't have $1 million contracts, or I'm not coaching in front of millions of thousands of people, but at the same time, God still found a way to use me, and I'm really thankful and grateful for where my feet are. What would you say that you've learned the most over your past 15 years at junior college? That you can't save everyone. That's been really hard. That you can't save everyone at the end of the day, people, because we are kind of like the last chance situation. But as much as you want to try to save everyone, everyone's not meant for you to save. You have to give them up to God, and you're not always, sometimes you're just meant to be in their life for a season, and don't take it personal if, you know, I've had players I've had to dismiss in the past, and I don't talk to them for 4 or 5 years. And then they come back year 6 and 7 and say, man, I understand why you did that. Thank you. But understanding it's okay to be the villain if it means that you're actually speaking in truth and you have their best interest, even if they don't understand it. But sometimes when you save people, you end up on the cross too. And so that's being crucified in a lot of ways, and taking a lot of hard hits that I've taken personal a lot over the years, and it's been really hurtful. I mean, really hurtful. But I've gotten better understanding now that I'm seeing these people that I've had made hard decisions come back years and years later and say thank you, and like, this is what I needed. It's helped me be more convicted that I'm doing the right thing, even if it's sometimes letting them go or not saving them or helping them find a different program because we're not the right fit. Yeah. So there is no more time in the day. But if you're not working with the FCA and you're not coaching, what does MJ Baker like to do? I'm on the basketball court. I am coaching all the time. I am always in the gym. I have 3 kids, and 2 of them play travel basketball. So if I'm not coaching and helping with their 2 teams, I'm in the volleyball court with my daughter, watching her and supporting her with FCA.
And then if we do have time out of that, I'm training my sons. And if I have time after that, I'm watching film or watching, my thing right now is Deion Sanders. I love on prime time right now. I love his whole, I love how he does things. He doesn't curse, he doesn't belittle, he's always empowering, he tells truth. I've really enjoyed, that's kind of my binge thing right now, is watching Deion and his documentary of how he's handled going from HBCU to Colorado. So, I mean, I'm on the court all the time. The ball is life.
Well, congratulations. I can't think of anybody more deserving of this award than you.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, that means a lot. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks, you guys.
Welcome back to Inside Titan Sports. I'm Mike Parsons, your host, and today I'm joined by men's basketball coach Thomas Gray. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Well, Thomas, first season, 23 wins and a trip to the state tournament. Talk about, did that kind of meet up to your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, getting the job a little bit later, was thrilled with kind of the team that our staff put together. I thought we had a great group. I thought we were one of the best teams in the country. Obviously, wish we could have proven that, in Hutchinson, Kansas. But when you look back on it, there was a lot of really good things. When we think about, we lost 5 games all year, and every one of those 5 losses were to a team that was eventually in Hutchinson, right. And they were all by 5 points or less. And so I thought we showed that we belonged on the court with whoever it was. And again, it was super excited about kind of the way that it went, but obviously we were all disappointed because we wanted a chance to win that national championship.
And talk a little bit about that, because you got here late, so you really were scrambling. But, I mean, looking back, how much fun was it to put this team together?
Oh, it was great. I mean, and to be honest, we didn't really have, we had obviously what Coach Schulman did here, and I had so much respect for what he did at Eastern Florida, but obviously we're a completely new staff. Yeah. And so I was coming from, obviously Vanderbilt, and so, when you're talking about a junior college, they probably had a lot of questions about, how's that going to translate. Obviously I was a junior college coach years ago, but I mean, you would have to go back and do some digging to find that out. And so was just really excited that kids and their families, almost kind of took a chance on us a little bit and believed in kind of the vision that we had, and guys turned down multiple, we even had guys turn down Division I scholarships to come here, knowing that this could be a really good, kind of launching pad, so to speak, for their career. So just excited to see kind of where that was last May, and then kind of how that worked out for those guys that did take a chance, and just the doors that it opened up.
And talk about that, because you have multiple guys now moving on to Division I teams now. Yeah,
it's, I think we're the only junior college in the United States of America that has 2 guys going to top 25 programs in Division I. And I think we're the only one, or one of maybe 2 or 3, that our entire starting 5 is going to go Division I. And we yesterday, I don't know if it's public, but we just had a 3rd guy get offered by Power, for school. So, that's, when you think about that, you think about the where these guys are, going from Eastern Florida, it makes you really, really proud about the doors that can be opened up here. When you talk about, a guy, in Corey Calker going to Louisville, who's projected to be a top 5 team competing for a national championship next year. I mean, that doesn't happen often. No. Or Felipe Patino going to Memphis, right. Playing for a legend like Penny Hardaway, and what I think is one of the best basketball cities in the country. And so just could not be, because ultimately that's what we're doing this for, right? Is to create opportunities for student athletes, and it has been accomplished, and I think, obviously stats show it, accomplished at the highest level in junior college.
Yeah, for sure. Talk about your coaching style a little bit. Where did it really come from?
Yeah, I think ultimately, I grew up in a single parent household. My coaches were kind of, who showed me kind of how to be a man, what it looked like to be a husband, what it looked like to be a father. And when I went to college, ultimately, I was just going there to play basketball and wanted to do something else. But God opened up a door for me to coach at a really early age after I got done playing, and I saw how being a coach can impact young men's lives, and ultimately, I think that's what we want to do in life. Life goes by in a flash, but ultimately, it's the impact that you're having on others, and you got to be about others. And I think this is a great outlet in just trying to help other people's lives and just kind of pay back what the coaches that I had did for me. That's my goal, is just to do a little small portion of that to these guys.
And you played all through your life. When was there a point where you were like, you know what, I really want to turn to the coaching side, or was it more basketball's done? I know basketball's done for me. Let's see what else I can do.
Yeah, it actually, it's fun. It's a long story, but through a series of events, God kind of showed me that He had other plans for me, and it was actually, ironically, my college coach that I was wanting to get involved in a ministry. Not to go deep into that story, but getting involved in the ministry meant not playing my last year in college. And 2 weeks after I got involved in this ministry and I stopped playing that season, my coach got a call that a local high school, their coach had resigned for various reasons, and they, season was about to start like a week, and they were scrambling. And so for whatever reason, the only person that he could come up in his mind was me at 21 years old. And so it was funny. I went there to go interview and they thought I was a prospective student, and they asked me where my parents were. I couldn't take a tour of the school without my parents, and I said, no, ma'am, I'm here for the head coaching interview. So I actually had no idea that was going to take place, and get into coaching. But when I did that, I saw like how much fun it was, the impact that I could have, and like I said, ultimately, life's about the impact that you have on others. And so, never really saw myself doing that. But, here we are.
Yeah. When you look back on this season, what stands out in your mind as special times?
I tell you, probably a few things, but just the type of young men that we had in our program. It was special. Like, we had a special group. Like, there's sometimes, like in all of our jobs, like, you show up to work, or even in coaching, like there's some days in practice and you're like, goodness gracious, like this is, it's like pulling hair. But this year in particular, man, I look forward to practice every single day. And I think, it starts with like kind of how we recruited the guys. Like we talk about, 4 C's, but the first C of our culture, so to speak, is character is the price of admission. So before we started evaluating their talent, we wanted to make sure, and we did research with talking to their coaches, to teammates, to all kind of different people that were around them. Are these the type of young men that we want to be around every day? And first and foremost, we hit home runs on the type of young men they are, which made it to where when I showed up to practice as their coach, man, I was fired up to go in there. We had a lot of fun. We competed every day. And that's just, the games is what everybody sees as kind of like the finished product.
Right.
But one thing that stands out with this group is how much fun the day-to-day process was. Because ultimately, that's what this is all about, is being with those guys every day and just seeing little, small, incremental improvements. We talk about being 1% better every day, and over time, the compound effect of that is going to really, show some big differences and big gains in our with basketball life in general. And just seeing those guys every day come in with a purpose to get 1% better, it was awesome. Yeah. And walking out of practice and being proud of individuals about the effort that they gave.
Talk about your practices, because it is very energetic in your practices.
Yeah, it's super. That's one thing is like, and we talk about the way we do anything is the way we do everything. And so, we're not going to go to practice and it's not going to be boring. It is going to be a war. It is going to be a absolute battle. It's, obviously you hear the noise and the flying around, but, we talk about like it says in Proverbs, like as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. So it's one of those things where if we're competing with each other at the level that we do every day, the games become easy. And that's our whole thought process. Is like we want to go at each other every day in practice, and then it's our job as coaches. We believe that there's a certain type of way to coach. You know, there's no degrading in our program. There's no we try to stay away from negativity, but at the end of the day, we're going to demand your best every day. And so, you know, as guys walk in, they know when they walk through, and they talk about, you know, between those four lines, like it is business and it is a battle, and we're coming with a purpose to get better every day. And so, you know, it took a little bit for those guys, but then, you know, basically they knew what it was when they walked in, and every single day it was like they were chomping at the bit to compete, which ultimately made them have the success that they had in the games.
Yeah, for sure. Talk a little bit about Florida basketball, because, you know, people mention it, but it's not well known as it should be how competitive Florida basketball is in junior college.
Well, I mean, you talk about this Florida basketball as a whole, you know, so they did a study, not a study, just like statistics on like the men's Final Four, you know, this year between obviously the 4 number 1 seeds in San Antonio in Division I. 11 of the guys on those rosters played high school in the state of Florida, like 11. And then I think the highest any other state had was like 4. Yeah. You know, and you're talking about the quality of high school basketball in Florida, which then translates to, you know, college basketball in Florida. Obviously, you saw Florida win the national, you know, championship, but that translates to junior college basketball as well. There are, you know, when you look at these rosters, you talk about our team, you know, that had, you know, 5, our entire starting 5 is going to play on the, you know, in Division I next year, and it's like that, you know, across the board. A lot of places, like you look at every single night, you're going to be competing against Division I guys, and playing the highest level of junior college basketball, and you don't really know that until you're in the middle of it, and you see it night after night after night, and so you see, you know, teams that may, you know, have, you know, be unfortunate, be at the bottom of a conference in the state of Florida. Well, a lot of conferences in other places in the country, they'd be one of the top 2 or 3 teams. Yeah. And so it just shows you, you know, and even when our teams get to the national tournament, you know, they win games and they make runs. And, you know, and it may not even be a team that won the championship here, but let alone they may play for a championship in overall. So it's just the coaches, the players, you know, just the support that because like these colleges, these junior colleges want to win in Florida. And it's shown by the product that they put out.
Well, before we go, if a future Titan's watching right now, what should they be working on?
So, you know, we always talk about, like, and people, you know, ask us, like, okay, what are you looking for in guys? Well, ultimately, you know, how much are you willing, you know, to work for this? Do you love, you know, I got this from one of my buddies who was a special teams coordinator for Coach Belichick and the Patriots. When they're evaluating guys that they're going to draft, the first question they ask is, do you love football? And so the first question that, you know, we want to find out, obviously, is the type of young man you are first and foremost. Are you a man of character? Right. And then after we know that you're a type of guy that we want to bring into the program, do you love basketball? And does what you do back that up? Do your actions back that up? Well, obviously, what does that mean is, like, do you work at it? You know, it's just like we tell guys all the time, like, it's like going to a bank, you know, and I'm trying to withdraw money from a bank. Well, if you haven't made deposits into that bank, then you're silly to try to go withdraw money from it. You know, and we talk about, I'm a big quote guy, as you know. Yep. You know, and somebody told me this, and it stuck to me. If you don't get what you want, it's either you didn't want it bad enough or you tried to bargain about the price. And we don't want guys that want to bargain about the price, that want to say, you know, I want to be a Division I basketball player, I want to be successful in college, but I'm not willing to put in the work. Right. Like, and so we want to find out if you're a guy that's a bargain about the price type of guy. And so ultimately, like, you know, with all these guys is, are you willing, do you love it, and do your actions back that up with how hard you work at it? Because we all know that, like, there's very few generational talents that are just talented enough to play at the Division I level or to compete in this. Like, if you don't work at it, it's hard for you to make it in this league and then beyond.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Well, this is awesome. Like, this is a treat. And so thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for joining us on Inside Titan Sports. You can follow Eastern Florida State College Titans all season long on EFSCTitans.com. We'll see you next time.